hello everybody. Thank you for joining in on this presentation on 5G for industries. My name is Etienne Scholl from Ericsson. I'm replacing my colleague Patrick Ruelke, who was supposed to give this presentation, but unfortunately he's ill, so I step in for him. What I want to talk about is our team, the Center of Excellence, and our role in 5G. Well, the mission and vision of this Center of Excellence is to accelerate and lead the industries towards the 5G capabilities for Industry 4.0. What we're doing is we're looking into the needs of industrial verticals and try to find solutions with the 5G capabilities of our new network in order to find a better flexible way of producing things or creating things. Our Ericsson CEO said it is not a coincidence that this team is in Aachen, because our Eurolab in Aachen is in the center of what we call the Industry 4.0 development. In Aachen, in the Eurolab of Ericsson, many of the 5G capabilities have been designed and deployed in co-creation with a lot of industrial players. We have been investigating what the needs are, and the 5G network has been designed accordingly so that it will fit the needs of this industry. What is it that we do exactly, the Center of Excellence? Well, first of all, we try to build up an ecosystem. This is necessary because we cannot do this kind of jobs alone. The network is just a communication technology. And in order to solve the issues of the industry, we need to have devices that are connected to the network. We need to have use cases with these devices. So there's a platform, etc., etc. And we need to implement this all. So we need also people to help to implement that. And that is the ecosystem who can jointly co-create a solution like that. We also do use case modeling. So if we have a use case that will fit the needs of the industry, we try to model it in such a way that it optimizes the specifics of that need. And hopefully we find a killer use case. A killer use case is an application that will bring so much benefit that it really pays for the return on investment of the network. In some cases, we don't find that killer application straight away. So we have a combination of use cases that bring this total return on investment. Next to that, we're also training people in the sales teams to understand the needs of the industry and also to look in a different way of selling connectivity as a technology towards the industry. Because normally we sell the communication technology for human communication, and people talk to each other via smartphones, or they use a smartphone for internet browsing or videos. But 5G is a different setup. 5G is used also for industrial communication of machines to machines. And this is something completely different. So we have to take more a consultative look into what are the specifics of this industry, what are the needs, what are the pain points, and then transform that into use cases that solve the needs. And this leads to opportunity identification of possible customer groups that could benefit from this use case. And so we are also trying to help our customers who are in the lead of selling the solutions towards the market to group certain industry verticals and certain use cases to these industry segments. I've been talking about the industry ecosystem, and what we need in this industry ecosystem is, first of all, a module. A module is the communication chipset or the small PC board that makes the contact between our machine that we want to connect and the network. Ericsson doesn't make those modules themselves. So we have an ecosystem of players who are very good in this, like Sequans, Gemalto, Sierra Wireless, Qualcomm. These are the big players in the globe who are building these kind of modules that connect towards the networks. And these modules, they need to connect to the machines themselves. And for that, we also need an ecosystem of partners who create gateways with these modules, or sensors, or actuators. And that are partners like Advantech or IFM or others, who are very good in creating these type of enablement systems that connect to the machine itself. And the machine itself, which is mostly a robot or an AGV or a truck or a self-driving car or whatever. These machines are, in the end, the machines that produce or that create the data that we want to have in order to optimize our processes. So these elements are very essential to the Industry 4.0 rollout. But next to that, we also need the platform to analyze the data and to make improvements in the total process. And therefore, we have in our ecosystem the independent software vendors like SAP, PTC, Hexagon, etc. They are companies who are working for many years already in this industrial environment and have a lot of knowledge and capabilities in this platform setup, where they take the data and transform it into knowledge. This doesn't work without system integration. So we have the hardware, the machines themselves. We have the interfacing, the gateways. We have the modules, and then we have the platforms. This is all kind of difficult technology, and in between we have the 5G network. In order to make this work, we need somebody who overlooks all these kind of technologies, which is a system integrator. And also in our ecosystem, we are talking to companies like Capgemini, Tata Consultancy Service, Fujitsu, all kinds of system integrators that have a deep understanding of the industry environment, of the industry processes. They really know what's going on there, and they help to integrate the whole chain. And together we co-create the use case solutions for the industry. That's what we are setting up now. And Ericsson has over 50 projects worldwide where we create these use cases in a lab environment or in a specific customer-friendly environment, like ABB or Scania or Atlas Copco. These are companies who are working together to see what is 5G bringing for our Industry 4.0 journey in order to solve our problems. And during these projects, we see that there is a new foundation for this Industry 4.0. So we have seen that, first of all, we need to connect everything that is there in the process, because the more we connect, the more data we can collect, and the more we can analyze. And from that analysis, we can derive new rules for the process to be set. And that's what we call the action. So connect, collect, analyze. That's the cycle that we use in order to improve the processes in the industry and to overcome the troubles that they have today. And this will result in system availability that will increase dramatically. We will have high quality data, which becomes the key asset in order to improve the overall process capabilities, and also to lower the time to market for new products to be produced. We can make our processes more flexible, and by controlling the setup of the machinery electronically, we can very quickly change the complete setup to produce something completely new in a very small period of transforming our production. And we will also create a mobile to X communication, which means that the robots that are connected to the network, they can also connect via the network to the supplying AGVs or to other elements in the production environment. So instead of people having to help the robot being productive in its environment by bringing materials or whatever, the robot can order its materials, or it can report back that the production is not going well enough. So the robot will communicate by himself, and the network will facilitate that the platform can adapt the environment accordingly. This interaction will grow, And by understanding better how this process all works together with artificial intelligence, it will improve the overall processes. What does it mean for the production environment itself when there is a dedicated 5G network for that? Well, this dedicated network will make sure that your data will be secure on your own campus. So you can be sure that the data is not going into a cloud and somebody can do something with it. No, you're very safe with your own data. And these network resources are also your own resources, so you can optimize it for your own production. And that means that you don't have any problems with the production when there's something going on somewhere close by, for instance, an accident where people are starting to call or using their smartphones. This will not affect the production in your facility because you have your own network. And this network can be optimized for the specific processes that you're running. For instance, by low latency characteristics, you can optimize the network in such a way that it will do exactly that, what it needs to do. And there's nothing else that will hinder that. So that is a very stable environment, which is needed in order to have a reliable production environment. So in the end, the 5G dedicated network will replace cables because it brings this flexibility and it brings much more capabilities for the future use in the factory environment. Some examples. An AGV. An AGV can work fine in an environment where only Wi-Fi is used as connectivity. The only problem with that is that the Wi-Fi is not safe enough and stable enough to provide safety information. And that means that the AGV needs to stop based on its own sensors. If there's something going wrong, if somebody is standing in line where he's trying to drive by, then this AGV needs to stop at once when he sees it within the vicinity of his sensors. But he cannot look around the corner. So the conclusion is that the speed will go down, will be low as the range that the sensors can look. When we can add sensors in the vicinity, so on the crossing points, we can add sensors to overlook the crossing and we can look around the corner. And via a stable 5G network with a high reliability and a very fast link, we can then improve this area where the AGV can look. And that means that the speed will go up, so the efficiency of the whole system will go up. And so this is a much more reliable and stable system, and therefore our total interaction speed will go up. And that is, of course, very beneficial for the industry. Also, when we're looking at, for instance, AMRs, autonomous mobile robots, these robots will interact with everything in the factory, as we've seen. We see that the 5G will create much more capabilities to improve the efficiency of this system, because it has this safety feature where autonomous robots normally also work together with humans, and that's a strong point. You can have a joint process where humans take actions and where robots do things. But this is also a hazardous situation if the connectivity is not good enough. So if the sensor cannot tell you, cannot tell the robot in time that there's a human in the vicinity, it could be very dangerous for the human. But with 5G, this is a very stable and good environment where the robot really knows in time that somebody is in the vicinity and will slow down or even stop before something can happen to the people in the vicinity. Another example is the cloud robotics use case. And normally, all the machines that are used in the production environment are connected to a PLC, the programmable logic. And those connections are via Profinet networks with cables. This is working fine for a stable production environment. This is fine. The only thing is that there's a growing need for flexible production environments because production samples will get smaller and smaller. and people want to change the requirements of the products to the latest stage. So that means that although we want to have a very efficient production, we need to make it flexible in order to adapt our production for smaller samples of the same product with different characteristics. Now, if everything is fixed to the ground and fixed to a wired connection, it is difficult to make your production flexible enough to cater for all those needs. So by making this a wireless connection, your robots and your systems become flexible. They can handle different kinds of hardware or materials, and then it makes it possible that your production will be much more flexible in order to create those new products that you want to bring in a very short period of time. So your time to market will go down. And the advantage is that the logic is not in the machines itself. The logic is in your local cloud. So this makes it also much more flexible from the hardware side. You don't need a PLC for each and every thing. You have a logical PLC in the cloud, which is much more efficient. Another example in the Ericsson environment is augmented reality for troubleshooting. This is not only for electronic equipment production, but can be used in different processes. What happens here is that via camera we can see exactly what is going on in the production. This guy is checking a PC board where a lot of components are installed, but it's very difficult for a person to see in one blink of an eye if everything is okay. So he needs to check a lot of things. By the aid of this camera and this augmented reality tool, the computer will check for him all the elements on the PC board and will sense very quickly if something is put in the wrong order or if components are missing. And it will indicate it via this display. And this is a very good aid for people in the production environment, but also in quality control or wherever, to see very fast where issues are in the product. Ericsson is working with a great number of projects together with industry companies and R&D facilities, like the 5G industry campus in Aachen, the Fraunhofer Institute. This is the largest 5G campus in Europe, where a number of production use cases are being tested. We also have already the first engagements with the auto manufacturing, for instance, in Mercedes-Benz Factory 56 in the southern Germany, where they built the S-Class Daimler-Benz, where 5G is a main part of the control system of the factory. And many other areas where 5G is tested at this moment and will be used for the production in the industry itself. So the conclusion from this presentation is that the factory equipment in all the factories, in all the production environments, will increasingly be connected to a wireless environment because it will bring benefits. The edges of the network will play an important role because the edge of the network, which is close to the system, can bring speed into the calculation that is needed to work in a real-time setup. This means that communication with the robots can be done real-time, and the robot can connect to other machines in its vicinity who need to bring materials or tools or whatever. So the robot can do a lot of things without having human interaction. 5G will be a very dominant technology in this area, simply because its architecture is built around the capabilities that are needed for this Industry 4.0. We've captured the requirements, and the architecture is built up around the needs for an industry. And many use cases like augmented reality or AGVs are already mature enough to use it via the 5G capability today. So you can start right away with these kind of use cases with your 5G network and benefit from these capabilities. So the question to you is 5G interesting enough for you to start now as a first mover in your industry and stay competitive? Or are you waiting to see how others benefit from it before you step into it yourself? It's up to you. We cannot do this on our own. We can only do this in a co-creation with an ecosystem, and we need you as a partner to step in and you as a customer to benefit from all this that we develop. This was my presentation. Thank you and goodbye.